So today we're going to be talking to Elaine Jackson. Elaine is Head of Office and Facilities Management at A+E Networks in London, Putney actually. I've known Elaine for quite some years, and she is one of the most fabulous people that you will ever want to meet. I don't really know how to describe her other than fabulous. She's just fabulous. Anyway, you'll see that in a second. So it's a big hello this morning to the very, very fabulous Elaine Jackson. Hi, Elaine.
Hello. I love that greeting. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Good. Fabulous is the only word that I know how to describe you, really. Well, there's lots more, but fabulous is the main one.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much.
That's fine. So Elaine is the Head of Office and Facilities Management. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that is correct. A+E Networks.
A+E Networks in London.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And we've known each other a while, haven't we?
Oh, my word. We've known each other a very long time. I'm not even too sure how long it is. It's been that long.
No, I don't know either, but I think it must be, I don't know, getting on for 20 years, do you think?
Oh, do you know what? I think most probably. Probably. And we look exactly the same.
Oh, well, yes. Absolutely. More fabulous than ever.
Yeah, how true. And actually, do you know what? I think the whole of that time as well, I've always worked in media as well, I think.
I think you have. Yeah, definitely. So when I first met you, you're working for a company called Nickelodeon, the kids TV channel. That's how I describe them.
Yes.
And then
Orange Towers.
Sorry?
We used to call our building the Orange Towers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was I quite liked that little building though. It was something quite lovely about it. It's amazing how much you fit in there, and you did the programs from there as well, didn't you?
Yeah. We used to transmit from there as well. Absolutely. Yeah, we used to even have some live shows from there.
Yeah. So where did you go to from there? What happened with your career from there?
Oh, well, from Nickelodeon, we then went and moved into the mothership of Viacom over in Camden. So we all moved out into a new building over in Viacom. And then I was there for about 4 years. And over in Viacom, you know, you've got the MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Channel 5, all those different fabulous brands over there. And then from there, I went on to A+E Networks, which has opened up a completely different world for me that I had no idea was out there. And it has been so much fun and such a pleasure to be working with them. And again, A+E Networks, TV, you know, you all know about our channels, hopefully, History Channel, Blaze, Crime and Investigation, Lifetime, you know, History 2.
Yeah,
yeah, I know, I love it. Everyone watches the program, they just don't know it's from A+E Network. So it's us. We're based over in Hammersmith. I absolutely love it. It's just one of the best places I have ever worked. And actually, we won in 2018 the best place to work in TV.
So, wow, that's one of the things I was going to ask you about, actually, that sort of best place to work. Why did they win it? Why do you think that they won it? I mean, you say it's like just been amazing, but why?
Oh, the environment, you know, the office environment, I'm not just bigging myself up. The office environment, the design is so right for people to be as creative as they want to be, for people to be able to be as comfortable as they want to be. Actually, the office is an agile office that we'll go further into, that I'm going to have to change at the moment, but it just works for what people need. It's really well thought out. It's really well designed. And on top of all of that, our culture is really excellent. It's more like you feel like you're there with friends and with your family. You know, everyone is really open. You know, the senior team are really open. They're really approachable, and you can learn so much from them. And they're completely open, and everyone's a sponge. Everyone's learning from each other, and it's such a good environment to work in. It really is.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one that, you know, you want to go back into. You want to go there. You want to be there to see your work colleagues. You know, it's one where people actually come up to you and ask you, what do you do at the weekend? And they'll actually stop. They're not carrying on walking while they're asking you that or how you are. They want to know. It's really brilliant. I remember, like, within my first week, my first couple of days, people came up to me and actually introduced themselves and said, who they were, and if I need anything, come and see them. And this is just general employees. These aren't people that are, champions of the company or whatever. They're people seeing there's a new person, I'm going to go and say hi. Really great.
That's amazing. You got any jobs going?
Do you know what? We're asked that quite a lot because we also have a bar, and
Yeah.
I know, exactly. And the odd occasion where we haven't got a supply of maybe Guinness sometimes of what people want, we'll nip out and get some. Then whenever anyone sees us with our A&E trolley, they're like, where are you going? What's happening? And have you got any jobs there? But yeah, it really is great.
So how's it voted then? Who decides what's the best place to work? Where's that?
Oh, do you know what? Oh, well, this was from Broadcast. We actually went in for the competition via the Broadcast magazine, and no, HR don't get to see the results or anything. It is all completely confidential, so they don't know who said what. We all got a link. You answer how many questions about what your working environment is like, what your seniors are like, colleagues, and you all sent it back. So we had no idea. So when we won, I mean, obviously we were thinking, of course we're going to win. It goes without saying. But but we did win. It was really wonderful, really wonderful.
Sounds amazing. Sounds really amazing. So just to put this into context, in case anybody's listening to this later, in terms of basically, obviously the world has gone utterly, utterly mad, but just where we're at with that. So it's the 1st of June. And I know, it's amazing how time has gone, isn't it? So we've all been in sort of lockdown or semi-lockdown for quite a few weeks now. Yeah, months. Where has the time gone?
Yeah.
And restrictions have been eased a wee bit, but we're still being asked to work from home wherever we can. So can you give me some sort of indication of how you were working before it all went utterly bonkers? How was the company working? Were you home working?
Yeah.
Were you office-based? How agile were you? How did you sort that?
Well, we're a completely agile office, and some of the things that I loved, which were there before I did start, but some of the things that I loved were from, the whole thinking. Normally what offices do is they'll try to get in as many people as possible on all those desks, so everyone's quite tightly packed.
Yeah.
We're actually the opposite. We've got very, very large desks, so if we ever needed expansion, we've already got it there. We're not having to be a removals company and constantly moving people around. Not efficient. We could just add in more workstations wherever we wanted. But yeah, we are completely agile. So we don't hot desk. We're completely agile. So when you'd come into the office, what you'd think about is, what work have I got to do today? So do I really need a monitor? And our monitor as well aren't the standard size monitors. We have extremely large monitors. So you're not having to have 2 monitors on a desk or whatever. This is, it looks incredibly slick, incredibly elegant, these very large widescreen monitors. So you think about, have I got work that I really need to do today, that I need to be sitting at a workstation? If not, I can maybe sit on a workstation for a couple of hours, or I could sit in there for the morning, and then the afternoon I can maybe go and work at a cafe, or I can go home and work from home, or I can collaborate with my team and work on collaboration tables, or work anywhere. You don't have to be fixed to that desk. Which I think is really, really great. Obviously, I think over time you will find that some people do start liking to sit in the same areas. Fine, that's always going to happen, but they still would move around those desks in those areas. And we also started to notice, well, actually, if you're agile, you need to have an area for those people that have maybe gone to the doctors and are going to arrive in late and desperately want a monitor, or people taking their kids to school or wherever it could be, and they might be arriving a little later. They still want a desk, and they don't want to have to get here at the crack of dawn to be able to get a desk. We always call that, actually, when people bagsy a desk, we call that beach toweling. So if someone puts their jacket there saying, oh, someone's already here and that person's not in, that's called beach toweling. We don't like that at all. But you don't want people to have to think, oh my God, I've got a beach towel, I've got to get in early to get a desk. So we put in bookable desks. We also put in, if you've got a new starter, you maybe don't want your new starter to be agile. You maybe want to have the new starter sitting next to you or very close to you. So again, we had desks where you could actually book those desks for more than a couple of hours. You could book it for a day, you and your new starter, or 2 days. Or if you really needed it, for a bit of a longer period. So we put that in as well, which worked really well. We also noted that actually people don't want to be chasing IT around, even if you're still booking tickets with IT, you still want to know where they are when if you need to go to see them. So we made sure that IT had a desk which was very visible for everyone to go to. We also put in some projects desks as well. So you might be thinking, oh, you know what, my team, we've got this really important project, and actually we need to be sitting together for 2 weeks, or it could be 3 months. So we've got an area where you can book those as well. We also put in lots of sit-stand desks around the office as well. So, you don't have to always be sitting down at a desk. You can be standing at them as well. And anti-fatigue mats around those as well. But also, as well in the office, then we put in those breakout areas, different seating, a little library seating, sofas, so you can get away from the desk and really relax. Games area with the pools table and the bar and things. So really, really great. And actually the thought behind it as well is, if you think about how you really use your office, are you always in meeting rooms? People aren't always in meeting rooms. Are your senior team always in their offices? A lot of times they're not. A lot of the time they're out in meetings. So those rooms as well, they can use them for when they need to focus, but actually you should be able to book those as well as a meeting room whenever you needed to get in there as well. So it works really well. And I think as well, for a young workforce, to have your senior team being as agile as you. So, you could be someone who's a new starter and find that actually you're sitting next to the MD. Because the MD is out on the floor with everyone else. And that knowledge you've been able to get from that person, because everyone's very open, you ask them a question, they will answer it. So it's a really great way to work. I really, really enjoyed it. And we made sure from the beginning we had those processes that people could work like that. Like they would have, you don't want people having to hold their laptops and walk around and walk off to a meeting or whatever. So we had these like hot boxes, these cubby boxes where, you could slot your laptop in, your charger and your stationery and your pads in. And carry those around, so it looks way more slick, and also it helps people to carry things properly as well. We had the sanitizer wipes already there, because you're agile, someone else is going to be sitting there. You need to be wiping those keyboards, you need to be wiping your monitor, everything that people touch. So we always had that as a standard anyway, so people are so used to that. The etiquette was always, before you go to your desk, before you start the day, you grab yourself a wipe and you wipe your keyboard and mouse and monitor anyway. So, that's something that will carry on. But
it sounds to me like you said right at the beginning, which is very interesting, you said we don't hot desk. And then you went on to describe what a lot of people consider to be hot desking. Now that is really, really interesting, isn't it? Because you've obviously got a young, cool workforce that want to be given the freedoms to work the way that they want to work, and yet that is seen as freedom and choice, and it's all about how you've promoted it as opposed to the actual physicality of it. Because moving from desk to desk to desk, many people would view that as hot desking, and yet because of the culture, it's seen as a positive thing rather than a negative thing.
Yes, well, I think when you hear hot desking, it sounds quite dated, I think, whereas agile feels very much more fresh and new, doesn't it? And I think the thing that I really find about being agile is the fact that, from facilities, you're always hearing about departments and adjacencies and things that they need. It's so easy. You can say, well, today, actually, I'm coming and I'm sitting over there. I need to work with Sam, there's a desk free near me. We need to work together today. And you can already do it. You're not having to you know, people working late, add more costs in. Oh, we've got to remove this, move all of these desks over to this area, move this out of hours. You're not having to do this. We need IT, we need removals people, we need a team to design it. You don't need any of that. It's the people that move the furniture,
Yeah.
stay there. And it works so much easier. You know, if you're someone who's like, you know what, I mean, our office is very, very light. We've got so many windows. But if you're someone that's like, you know what, I like to sit near a window, you can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to sit near, I don't know, the games area. You can sit away from the games area. You can sit near the library. You can sit wherever you want to. Whereas when you're limited just to, right, that is your department's desk, that's it, you may be fine, particularly if you're a junior one, you're sitting in the worst place possible. Also, you find that housekeeping starts slipping. You know, when people have always got their dedicated desks, I used to do this myself. You know, I'm amazed at how I work
I've seen
now.
your desk, Elaine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you used to tell me off about that as well. You know, I used to have reams of piles of paperwork, documents next to me, books and everything all piled up next to me all high. But see, that means that, you know, one, you're not able to really have a clear space where you've got a clear mind, but also it means that you're stopping your cleaners from being able to clean every part of that desk every day and keep it nice and clean for you, which is the way it should be. So, and that's another thing that I love about Agile. It means that every day you walk into my office, it's as if as if the office has just been built, you've just been moved in.
Yeah.
It is so clean, it looks so fresh, it looks so new, and it's wonderful. And that's another thing that is great for people to walk into their office and feel, oh, instead of bogged down with all this paperwork around you.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Right. So every day's a new day, basically, right?
Yeah.
Literally, how do I want to work
Mm.
today? And it
Yeah.
sounds like you've really thought about what people need. I think it's the practicalities of it. You know, if you're going to call it, let's not call it hot desking at all, because
Yeah.
it's got such a bad rap. But, you know, if we're going to talk about agility and moving around and
Yeah.
stuff, you've really got to think through those practicalities of what people need. And everybody's going to
Yeah.
need something different.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, you know, we've added wardrobes that people can hang their coats up in, you know, lockers. And then you've got to think about people that are your contractors and freelancers coming in. You know, if they're using laptops and things, they're going to need somewhere to put them. So, you know, we've got laptop lockers, various different things. So, yeah, you really have got to look at everywhere. You know, how can people use it? You know, even at our sofas, I've got laptop risers. Not saying that you're going to be there all day, but if you're sitting down there for a little while, you've got a laptop riser table, which you can adjust the height and the actual platform to make it as comfortable as possible for you. So when they first went in, I'm like, my gosh, you know, they went so well. I actually personally now, the first time in my whole career, don't use a desk. I never ever use a desk. I stand the whole time. I don't stand at a sit-stand desk. I stand at a poser table all day. I've got another colleague that does exactly the same. The first time you do it, you're like, oh my God, my back. After that, oh my word, you feel incredible. And I'm like, absolutely amazing. But that is for me. I feel great. And any time that I think, okay, I've got some documents that I really need to concentrate on, normally expenses, and I sit down, I will go and sit down at an armchair with my laptop riser, and I'm so comfortable, you know, as well. I think because we're facilities, you've got to keep on moving. That's how you stay comfortable. It's not just about your chair, it's about what you're doing for your body. You've got to keep on moving, get yourself up and stretch. And I actually practice what I preach, and I do exactly that.
Yeah, no, it is. Everybody thinks it's all about equipment and it's all being, you know, the perfect sort of ergonomic setup. And really the most important thing, as you've said, is just move. You know,
exactly.
I say it all the time. But it is so important. So you're in a position then, when the world went mad, where everybody was agile throughout your office. But were they working from home? I presume everybody had laptops and you were good to go from that point of view. What happened?
Yeah, so we already had laptops, and we also, actually, I missed out on everything. We'd have laptop charging stations as well, because obviously people will forget their charger. But anyway, yeah, so we always had laptops. We always had the ability to work from home. We didn't do it as much as we do obviously now, but we always had that ability. And I think what sometimes happens is that some people would always have this view that if you're working from home, you're not really working. But I think as well now, what has been so lovely about this time, it's actually showing that actually not only are you definitely working, but actually you've got to control your time, that you're not overworking. So
Yeah,
what
the
would have
opposite.
happened? Yeah, absolutely opposite.
Yeah.
And I used to be, it's one of the things that I brought up about the way that before this all happened, how I used to work when I'd be working from home, because all of a sudden I had this space where people weren't walking past me and stopping me. So that meant that I had a flow. I could suddenly just crack on with my work, and I loved it. But it would mean that, again, you didn't take as many breaks as you should do.
Yeah.
You weren't, you're not finishing at the end of the day. You're thinking, oh, I just want to get this finished. Before you know it, the time has flown. A couple of hours have gone by, and you should have stopped working
You
a
haven't
few
moved.
hours ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you haven't moved. So,
Yeah.
and also, which is it's good for me to know this, because again, when I look at people and I'm saying, okay, this is the issue, you need to actually have breaks. I'm totally aware that that is really important. And the more busy you are, the more important it is, because you just think, oh, I can't have a break. Actually, no, it's even more important that you have a break and not have back-to-back meetings.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the way that you describe the sort of the culture of the organisation, I would have thought that sort of issue of not really thinking people are working from home, I wouldn't have thought that that would exist in the kind of organisation that you're describing. And yet, clearly it does. So I think there's a lot for even the most young, funky, new
Forward thinking,
organisation
yeah.
for you to learn that actually you can work remotely.
Yeah, it's really important, because I think as well what happens is people, even though we are a very forward thinking company, you've still got those ideas of companies that you worked at before,
Yeah.
where it could even be yourself, you struggle with working from home, so then you make the assumption that other people will do, and actually don't give them the chance to work from home themselves. Or already, what you could do is already giving people some tips that they may not be aware of if they aren't used to working from home. You know what, you're going to have to put in some breaks in, you're going to have to make sure that you maybe put an alarm on, so it tells you this is the end of the day, you need to stop working, 15 minutes before, you need to start packing things up. So it is quite interesting, because I think you do bring in some of the culture from where you were previously.
Yeah.
I actually remember, so I know I haven't completely answered your question, but I remember a new starter. So obviously I do an office induction to people, induct you into our office and how we work, so you're as comfortable as possible. And I remember I was telling a new starter, and he said, no, I don't believe people are this nice. And I was like, why? No, he said, no, people just aren't this nice. So, I'm waiting for it. I'm expecting, my boss to berate me, or someone to, stab me in the back. And I'm like, leave that at the door. I understand that was your experience previously,
Yeah.
but you're now at A+E Networks. welcome to A+E Networks, and believe what you're seeing. Don't try and create what you had before. This is different, so enjoy it, relax into it. And it took a while, and I remember it was something like maybe about 6 months later, this person came up to me again and said, Elaine, you were so right, were so right. But
How lovely
but
is that?
yeah, exactly. But the whole transition from being in the office to people working from home, I mean, there was so much that came up before that, because again, in facilities, I mean, I don't work for the larger companies like I did before, where we would have different groups of people that would be looking at different elements of what that all looks like for people to work from home. Whereas for me, there's a much smaller team that actually look at it. I was looking at, for this instance, COVID-19, I was looking at it from January, when I started to see WHO talking about it, or, you know, I remember the NHS was sending out emails via patients access, and I was saying to my boss about, are you seeing this going on? And we weren't really talking about it that much in this country. So I was already seeing it, and kept saying to him, they're saying about washing your hands and things. And so I kept on at him and our MD and just saying, are you noticing this coming through? So every time I kept seeing it coming through, and, you know, and I already back in January upped our hand sanitizer stations. And so already seeing it, just making sure you're just always on the button all the time, you know, trying to watch what's coming on, whether you believe something or not, but just seeing the patterns of how this is all working, and how you're seeing different countries as they were closing down, knowing, oh, actually this is going to come our way. But a good thing as well that I think we were very lucky with is we are in a building with various other tenants, and we regularly have power shutdowns, planned power shutdowns. Right. So we're quite used to, whenever we have a power shutdown, that we take that opportunity that everyone, obviously you're out of the office, you all leave on a certain time in a day, and you don't come back until another day. So they're a bit more of our tests as well, to make sure that everything is really robust and everything's working. So I think in lots of ways we're quite lucky that we actually put those things in, that we've always got a regular test every couple of years anyway to see.
Were they lucky? You could say lucky, or you could say actually, you know what? This because I think, you know, in FM you have to be really, really practical. I mean, you're always practical people anyway. You have to look at the realities of what's out there, and how are we going to physically deal with it. You know, the creatives can do their creative thing, that's their job, that's their role. But it is your function. You have to look at the practicalities of how you're going to keep the organisation running, isn't it?
That's so true. And that's why, for when we do have our power shutdown, I always insisted that we have a whole day, no one's in work, let's see how this works. And it's brilliant, because that then also shows the business, we can still work. And it's brilliant. So even before we got to this, we've already had a test twice, you know, seeing that actually, this can still work. You know, everyone can work outside of the office. It's a possibility.
Has it been from a communication point of view? Because whenever you're in media, I always think that, I mean, you know, communication is what you do. It is your business at the end of the day. And I always think that what you need as much as anything else, in any sort of creative communication type business, is that what I call osmotic communication. So where you pick things up without even realizing you're picking it up, just by being around people. And yet, as soon as we move to Zoom calls and stuff, and it's all working remotely, we've lost all of that. How's it worked for you?
Do you know, our communication has been really fantastic. Like, we were really lucky. We just changed over from, our intranet used to be on our mobile, just on our mobile. We changed onto a new system where your intranet is online, on your computer and on your mobile. Right. And it's as if we had planned all this for COVID-19, but we hadn't.
Of course you did.
Had all these, we had all this information. Before we went into COVID-19, I had already set up with my boss wellbeing champions as well. So we were looking at what we can do to make things work even better. We need to be on it all the time. You know, we want to carry on being the best place to work in TV. So you can't just let that slide to be the best place to work. You've got to keep on. So we're putting our wellbeing champions. We got someone externally as well to help with that. And so our intranet was amazing. You know, the first time we all had our staff meeting, our company meeting via our intranets as well. We've never done that before. But actually the first meeting that we went live with was one of my wellbeing meetings.
Oh, good.
So that was really, it was great. So, and the platform was amazing. It was really great to be able to let people know that, you know what, it's okay not to be okay, and these are the type of things you might start feeling over this time. Or do you know what, it's okay that you are thriving right now. That is totally fine. Don't feel bad because, you know, someone else may not be coping. This is your personal journey. I know we always say that we're all in it together, but this is your personal journey, and everyone's not on your journey. So that's really important to be aware of. so the communication was really important. We wanted to make sure that, and our seniors, our MD and our VP of HR were really keen that they wanted to make sure that they are touching base with our employees all the time. You know, people want to know how the channels are going. You know, are we actually doing okay while we're working from home? We're a bit concerned. Is the company okay? You know, people need to know about those sort of things. You know, we put in place where, you know, people have to over communicate. You know, your team or your talent, as we like to call them, you know, you've got to make sure that you touch base with them more than you normally would do in the office. In the office, you can pass them and just say, oh, hi, how you doing? But at home, you're not going to be doing that, are you? So you've actually got to make sure that you put in time to actually contact them, not about work, but to actually just say, hi, how you doing? And you have to do that weekly.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was something that we made very, very clear. We sort of made clear that people are going to be struggling because you're on that monitor all the time. You know, if you're in the office, you'd get up and go to a meeting room, or you'd get up and go out of the office to a meeting. But now all your meetings are on that screen, and it's incredibly tiring. So
It's
as
very
soon as
tiring.
yeah, incredibly, isn't it? So as soon as we noticed any issues, we straight away would communicate about that. We made sure that we had clear platforms that was updating you about COVID-19, the coronavirus. Very clear. There's and we always make sure they are facts, no myths whatsoever. And also we put on a page where there are what the myths are as well, so it's very, very clear. We opened up different sort of pages for people. So we had the reading group, we've got a pets group, we've got a family group, we've got exercise group, we've got well-being group. You know, we set up huddles with our mental health first aiders. I'm a mental health first aider as well, so that people can reach out and talk. And even though people sometimes maybe don't want to always come to you directly, the huddles worked. You know, we just basically would choose a subject and people can dial in and they can listen, or they can talk too. And I've got to say, for any other company that's not doing this, put it in. It works so well. You know, people just need to be talking or hearing other voices. You know, you might have people that are coping okay at home and they live on their own, or they could be with someone else, but still they want to hear other voices. And it's worked really well, and it's worked for other territories as well, particularly like when our Italian territory, when they were completely locked down, they weren't allowed to go out of their homes for exercise. They were struggling with cabin fever. So one of our subjects was cabin fever. And it's just amazing how they all got on board and talked about it, and how much that really helps other people when you're hearing about how other people maybe haven't coped, and then you can maybe give them some tips about how you are coping, and where people had never thought about that before. So it really is an amazing platform, really is incredible.
So in the next Workarama then, I'm going to get you to do a full talk about that. So I asked Elaine, didn't I? I asked Elaine to do a talk this time, but like most FMs, you are utterly up to your eyes and beyond with COVID-19. So there was just no way you have time to do it, but managed to put aside a half an hour to do, which I'm very, very grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm enjoying it.
And so what's happening now? Are you planning to bring people back? I know you don't just do what you say, do you? You've got the whole of the world.
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
all of the different.
There's so much planning. I mean, from when everyone left the office, you know, our cleaners were the last ones out.
Yeah.
Basically, we wanted to make sure that everything was completely clean. And before we even left, we changed our cleaning program completely. You know, added in more touch points and things. But now what I'm working with, I'm a part of the business continuity team that we meet every single day, where we've got something to talk about or not. Every single day we meet. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually at the moment writing the risk assessments for our phased return back. So we're basically looking at the return as in not people just going back to work, but what can we do to make sure that there might be some areas of where people may be struggling a bit to work from home. What can we do in the office that supports them working from home? So that's going to be like the first phase of people going in. With like myself, where we'll actually set up the offices, number the workstations. We've already taken pictures of what it will look like when you're in the office, and we're going to sort of sit in a checkerboard way. But our desks are really large already, so it actually hasn't been that hard for us, What my main aim is to make sure that people feel safe to come into our office. That has got to be the main aim, and that people feel comfortable. And it's something that I used to say before COVID-19. Why I'm here is to make sure that our staff come into this office and they are comfortable. And maybe people didn't really notice or think about that, or didn't think that was that important. But I think now they realize with COVID-19, actually, you're right. It is really important that people are comfortable. So I think that is always the point with the FM, that people are comfortable and people are safe, that they're working in a safe environment and they're aware of it. There are different things that I plan to do now, whereas FM, we just get on with it. There's so many things that happen around that people are not aware of. We test the air, we test. Exactly. We test the water coming out of your taps to make sure there's no Legionella, or there's no bacteria growing. We do so many things that people are not aware of, and I think now's the time where we actually need to stand up and say to people, you know what, this is what's happening in your office. And I think that will really help them as well to feel much more comfortable about their office as well. Yeah, we test the air quality, and if something's not right, we fix it straight away. So, you don't need to be bringing in any other extra kit, humidifiers or whatever into your office, because your office is on point. So I think it'd be good for people to be more aware of what FM's do, and I think they will start being more aware now. I think we've always been those people that, we always say that actually we're doing a good job when people don't complain, but actually now I think people will see more of what the job we do, because we're going to make sure you are as safe as possible in your working environment. But so I am working on the phase return back, and also we want to test that before our staff come back as well. So we're going to ask a few of our team to just come in and just see what doesn't work. Have we got our signage wrong? Have we got, sanitizer in the wrong place? Or, have we put areas where you can't go and you think, oh, actually, that doesn't make sense. Why have you put that here? Does it have to have more signage or whatever that would be? Actually, is that being measured? That doesn't look like 2 meters for me here, or whatever that would be. So we want to test it. We want to know what isn't working and get that working before our staff come in. We're already, I've been quite lucky that I'm quite close to quite a lot of people from the police in Hammersmith, the Hammersmith Council, the counter-terrorism team. I'm very close to all of those people, and they really regularly have webinars, so they let me know about what's happening in our Hammersmith area as well. So it's great to be able to then tell staff, they're widening pavements, they're going to do some clean air routes or better quality air routes, so you can walk in or you can cycle in. What does the tube look like for you now as well, because these are all things that people are really worried about. As well. So we let people know all of those stuff, as well on our intranet, because if the government says, oh, you've got to wear a face covering on the tube, and a lot of our staff will come in on the tube or train, oh my gosh, well, I don't sew, or I can't afford this. So even on our intranet, I would put on there, this is how you can make one without having to sew, without having to, have a sewing machine. So I think it's been an amazing experience. I've actually, it seems odd to say it, but really enjoyed it, because it's really been an FM's time, and it's been so enjoyable to think all the time about, we're always thinking anyway about what we can do to make your space much better for you. What can we do to make your space safe for you? What can we do if there is a case to make sure that is completely, the area is completely clean, sanitized, we don't use that area for a while there's a case, whatever that would be. And also talking to other FMs about what they're thinking about. So it really has been an interesting time. And, even thinking about things like even milk, I don't want people holding the milk, the milk bottle. So what do we do there? You've got to think of every single area. absolutely everything and just leave nothing unturned. You know,
Yeah.
basically like visually walking into a room, looking at your floor plans and, okay, what is there? How do people touch this? How many people can I get into the space? How often can I clean this? You know, what other cleaning system do I need to put in so people can clean things themselves after they touch it, or walk in and they use sanitizer first? So,
And how do you think, what is the mood for people to come back? Do you think, I mean, obviously you created an amazing place for them to come back into, but you know, what is the mood? Are they ready? Will they be
that's
ready?
quite interesting. Yeah, that's quite interesting, because again, we did like a poll. We can do a poll on our intranet, and we asked exactly those questions. You know, what do people feel about returning? What do they feel about the amount of communication they're getting? Are we missing the mark? What's happening? And actually, what we got back was really great, really amazing. And how people are feeling about working from home, and like how many days a week would people like to work in the office? Once we do return to the office. So I think a lot of people are ready, but I think a lot of people have really enjoyed working from home.
Yeah.
I think there are the cases where people maybe if you're someone who's maybe living in a studio flat and you've got a partner there, that might be quite difficult for you to work from home all the time. So you might be someone that wants to work in the office at least a couple of days a week. You could be someone who's living in a building site before lockdown, literally. So you're like desperate to get back in that office as well. So I think a lot of people do want to return. I think that the real concern whenever I speak to people seems to be the travel. I think that's the part that they're really concerned about.
Yeah.
How they would get there. If their journey is a bit longer and they've got to get on a train, tube, bus and walk, I think that gives people a bit more they're a bit more concerned. They'd prefer if they were a little closer and they could just walk to the office, or whether it's they drive to the office. So
Yeah, no, I think travel is going to be the real sticking point in London. It's funny, I was talking to an FM earlier who their offices are way outside London, and I'd been speaking to one of their employees who was struggling for space because they live in a studio flat and no room for a table or a dining table or anything like that. And this FM was like, what do you mean that they haven't got space for even just a small table? And it's like, oh my God, you should be talking to the FMs whose employees are living in London, because they're, so many of them have got that sort of situation. When you're out in the burbs and stuff, it's not such a major issue. Most people have got a bit more space, but it is very, very different depending on where you're located.
It's so true. And obviously with London, because they try and pack more people in, there's a lot of people living in flats, and very small flats as well. People don't have outdoor spaces. If they're living with quite a few people, they don't have a living room. They've just got their room, their bed. Yeah. So, to sit there, and if you're working with more than a laptop, that is really difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Just to sum up for me, Elaine, obviously, in terms of the positives of the situation, because I always think that there are some, I think FM coming to the fore is definitely a huge positive for you and many other people in your position. Overall, what would you say that they are? Because they're definitely there. It's just we need to see them.
Yeah, I think the positives are people now knowing more about what we do as well. As I said, we're always really quiet in the background. We've only done.
I don't think you are ever quiet in the background.
I love it. People never notice unless something goes wrong. But I think now actually people are realizing, actually this is working really well, and I really appreciate it. So I think it's great to finally see that we're being noticed more. Normally, as I said, we're not noticed because everything is going smoothly, and you only notice when things aren't going smoothly. So it's great that in general we're being noticed much more about what we do, and it's been appreciated a lot.
Yeah, Elaine, fabulous. I knew you'd be fabulous. That's why I wanted to talk to you. Absolutely, absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're utterly manic. So an hour out of your day has been very, very precious, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
No, more than welcome. And hopefully we'll have that long, boozy lunch soon that we've been threatening for a while.
Has to happen. Has to happen, Jill.
All right. I'll see you soon. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Fabulous. The lovely Elaine Jackson. I hope you enjoyed listening to her as much as I enjoyed talking to her. She's always an absolute pleasure. So much enthusiasm. She's just amazing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.